Welcome, everyone. And if it looks like it's in a different backdrop, it's because it is. Finally, the fine people at the city of Seattle have said, okay, we're not in Hall of Fame. You've done so much. We are going to pay you all this money to move to Seattle, Washington. So here we are in Seattle. Like Chris, did you believe any of that?
That you're here in Seattle, yes, I believe that part.
Okay, yes. Well, yes, that's why I'm in Seattle. It has nothing to do with the fact that my wife got promoted.
No, it's all because they want you there. They need the headquarters moved to Seattle.
Absolutely. They know that Caitlin Clark's going to be here a couple times. They know that this is the greatest way to get the Supersonics back in Seattle is to have Kirk Buchner and not in Hall of Fame here.
That's right. It's the Supersonics not being in Seattle. That is a travesty.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. It's actually, before we sort of go into everything, but so I'm Kirk Buchner along with my co-host for the monthly elevator show, Chris Mouradian. Uh, what's sort of been really interesting? The amount of conversations that I've been having with just, I'm going to put this in air quotes, regular guys about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA. And you probably have seen that. I didn't participate that much. I don't know if you did at all in our football chat group about Jack Silverstein, our good friend, is putting together a big article on the WNBA and just the whole fact that you've got a bunch of, let's just put it this way, a bunch of lunch pail guys like us who give a shit.
Yeah, it's definitely come a long way from last year even.
Last year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, here I am. I've had a conversation with the guy who helped move me in, the person who helped move me out in Winnipeg. It's a fascinating thing that we've got going on with women's basketball, and I just think that should be, again, just from the people who are talking about it. I remember it was only 2 years ago that I'm bemoaning with Evan Nolan, my partner, really in almost everything that I do, and in the Hall of Fame show that Chris has sort of subbed in a couple times, where they've got no shot in hell if their main website thing is about a lesbian fashion show. I'm not making that up. It was. I mean, that was their main thing. It's like, and then he said to me, "You're not the target audience." I better be. And right now we all are.
Yeah, they need the regular, as you put it, lunch pail guys to actually pay attention and give a shit about it, because up to now nobody has,
Well,
outside of a small group.
the people who actually spend money on sports
Hmm.
is really what it comes down to. So I just thought that was sort of interesting as I come here to Seattle and just talking to a bunch of people like me who are excited to go to a Seattle Storm game and a little bit more than they were. But this is about the elevator show where we look about those who in the past month, this being the month of April, as we're covering it, who made a better case up and who made a better case down. As we don't exactly know, well, we didn't talk to each other about who we have, just the amount that it is. So you've got more than I do. So I'm
Yeah.
going to defer to you, Chris,
Yeah, sure.
for the first up or down, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I got more ups and downs this week or this month. So I'll start with an up here. And I'm going to go with Scott Dixon from the world of IndyCar.
Okay.
So a couple weeks ago, IndyCar Grand Prix of Long Beach, Scott Dixon won the race there. That marks his 20th consecutive season with a win, which is, every year he wins, he just extends his record. Now, he's, six-time champion, multiple IndyCar wins, Indianapolis wins. He's done enough at this point to say that he's a Hall of Famer. In fact, he's been elected into some smaller Hall of Fames already. But to continue it every year, 20 years in a row to win a race, just that consistency to go out there and do it. And drivers that are really special drivers like a Will Power. He went last year without a win. He's with Penske, and he is somebody that is a threat every season, not just win a race, but to win the championship.
Mhm.
So for Scott Dixon to come out there and right away, second race of the season, get that win and extend his record to 20 consecutive seasons with a win, that's pretty special. And when you think about all the different drivers that have been through IndyCar and have had long careers, like an AJ Foyt, like a Mario Andretti, or Michael Andretti even, and to be on top of that pyramid there, that's tells you just how good he is and for how long he's been that good.
Okay. I think you've got, again, more than I have. So I'm going to ask you to do your next one.
Yeah, sure. I'll go to the world of basketball this time.
Mhm.
So, and not a modern guy. So back in 2022, the NBA Hall of Fame or the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame finalists included three not first-time ballot guys. That in Tim Hardaway, Michael Cooper, and Marcus Johnson.
Mhm.
Tim Hardaway was selected in 2022. Michael Cooper was selected in 2024. So that just leaves one more player left to be selected.
Okay.
Marcus
I see
Johnson.
where you're going with that. Yeah.
Next year's first ballot class is not one of the stronger ones that have come through recently.
There's nothing.
I didn't want to go that far, but
No, I will. But yeah,
weak.
actually, finish your thought, and then I'm going to say something that I kind of screwed up on the site. But go on.
Yeah, no,
I
no,
shot
so
it myself. Yeah.
So I think that you got somebody that's been a finalist. You have a weak incoming class. You have just kind of I don't want to call it a perfect storm, but things really set up nicely for him to finally get the recognition he deserves.
Yeah, here's the shot at myself here. I had my webmaster, and as he's going to be watching this, he's going to realize that I just gave him extra work. I had 10 names that we put up for the 2026 class, which is a pretty loaded group with led by Rajon Rondo, Paul Millsap, Joe Johnson. Yeah, I deleted the whole damn section, and I don't know how to get it back. So I deleted what I wrote. So part of everything that I'm doing, I'm now rewriting 10
Profiles.
10 people.
Yeah.
Because I suck. But yeah, that's actually, I'm glad you brought that up. Because if we're looking at basketball next year, I mean, we talked, you and I, we talked about Vince Carter last year, and Vince was, or this, I guess this year, Vince was the top guy easily. And it was only a few years ago where the guy who sort of replaced him in Toronto, Chris Bosh, got passed over as a first round or first year eligible. There's nobody who is really going to be a big name. I mean, we could extrapolate on what you said, and not just with Marcus Johnson. I think that's a fantastic one, but there's so many people who we could look at who have their best chance maybe ever in the modern ballot.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, you look at
Kevin Johnson comes to mind.
Yeah, KJ. Yeah, he for probably political reasons he's been passed over numerous times. Mark Jackson, another guy that just doesn't seem to get the recognition he deserves. Go back a little further. Buck Williams had a nice long career there with primarily New Jersey.
That's a great choice. We don't even know also too where they make the division between modern and then senior. I don't quite know what that year difference is.
Yeah, it's
screwed up. Let's just be blunt. It's a mess. We know nothing.
No, we don't. I mean, Mark Eaton was a finalist a couple years ago, and now he's not even on the ballot. It's like how does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I'm thinking of a couple Sonics, not just because I'm here, but I'm thinking of an article that was written on the Atlantic. Tom Chambers, comes to mind. That's not right. I was going to say Jack Sikma, but
he's already in.
Yeah, because that happened a little while ago. So they're going to probably be very creative. Maybe if depending on who this group is, I mean, it could be 20 people deciding, it could be one.
Yeah, there's really no uh, path really that you kind of see with the ballot there.
None. Absolutely none. Michael Cooper is so interesting too. So is Michael Cooper then the conduit? Like if Cooper's in, then obviously Draymond Green has to be.
You would think he should be based on his play.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't dock him too much for his off on the court, but discretionary stuff that he
Yeah.
is known for.
Or even, I'll just go with Klay Thompson, who I think is the most overrated shooter of all time. Uh, and even then, I wouldn't even have that much of a problem with him getting in based on the level that they've set. It's such a weird thing, but I
Yeah,
guess it'll go to me. I'm going to stick with
yeah,
basketball here.
good.
Uh, in your neck of the woods, there in Wisconsin, even though he's going to get in whenever they decide he's eligible, because we don't know. Doc Rivers, because like everything he touches turns to crap.
Yes.
Uh, Doc was named wasn't all that long ago in the top 15 NBA coaches of all time, again by a group that I don't know who they are. And if you look statistically, sure, you can go along with that. But he gives me Lenny Wilkens vibes in terms of the late stage career that Lenny had. Especially when he was sort of like the Raptors head coach and then beyond. Yeah, you're piling up a bunch of numbers, but you're not piling up a bunch of titles. And as we're recording this, we're recording this May the 2nd. I don't know if Milwaukee is going to be eliminated today or not. Don't tell me because I
Okay.
recorded that and I'm going to be watching that later.
Well, good
But
thing you said something because I peeked before we came on.
okay,
So, but
no, yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. But let's look at everything he's done post Boston and even during Boston. And it was sort of like compiling on the list of all the players that he's coached. So we got KG,
Paul
Allen,
Pierce.
Paul Pierce, in
Yeah,
Boston, and that led to the first title. But then
right.
after that, he's been in the finals only once since with that Boston team. With the Clippers, with Chris Paul in his prime and Blake Griffin, who was goddamn good. A lot of people don't remember how good he was.
Yeah, wasn't he rookie of the year as
Yeah,
well?
yeah,
Yeah.
rookie of the year, 7-time All Star, 6 with the Clippers. Never made past the second round. Then you got the process. Well, what happened there? Nothing,
Still
and
nothing.
still nothing. And so you've got Garnett and Griffin, Paul, Embiid, Giannis, and I'm just going to
Lillard.
assume I'll put it out there now. Milwaukee's probably not going to win the title. Don't tell me if they've already been eliminated at this point. I have no idea. I don't want to know. Uh, but you take over a team with Giannis and Lillard and you go minus 500. At what point is it you?
The team's been a mess, I think, all season. Um, Looking back on it,
Mm.
the trade for Lillard, in my opinion, right now, today,
Was it a
has
trade
been
or was it a
horrible.
free agency? I
No, it was
don't
a trade.
remember. Was it a trade? Okay. What'd they
Yeah,
give up?
that's the problem. They gave up Holiday, Drew Holiday was the big name that he went to Portland. And then Portland then flipped him to Boston, who is now on a fast track to the finals.
Right, but Drew Holiday was not the same level as Damian Lillard at this point.
He was a better leader on the court as far
Yeah.
as the defense
Oh,
goes.
the glue
That's
gun
that's the
for sure.
problem. That's
Yeah.
the problem with the team right now is they're not as good of a team with Lillard. They may be
Mhm.
more talented, but they're not as good of a team. And Holiday was so underrated in his time here. I mean, he was so instrumental in them winning that championship and being ready to compete year after year. Um, I don't know. They jumped in on Lillard to keep him from going to Miami. Yeah, it cost, they won a couple extra games that Miami did this year, but they're both struggling in the first round. And,
Mhm.
I don't know. If they could redo it again, I don't know that they would. But
Yeah.
that's just my opinion as a fan sitting here watching from 10,000 feet or whatever.
Yeah, and I think it just at some point, I mean, like I know how basketball Twitter and basketball YouTube were talking when Rivers got became your coach. Again, you're a Milwaukee guy,
Yeah.
and they were not exactly enamored. They said this is going to be bad.
Hmm.
Was that the case in Milwaukee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They started the season with the first time coach who had them winning. They
Hmm.
were they were near the top of the league in wins, leading the division. And the change at the time when it happened was, kind of caught a lot of people off guard. And then to bring in Doc, it seemed like they needed to bring in they it felt like they didn't want to coach to learn on the fly. They wanted to bring in somebody that's been there, an experienced coach.
Well, was that also maybe like an inside job? Like, sorry, Jasper,
Wait,
you can follow Jasper,
Jasper.
Jasper underscore the friendly corgi. He is apparently a bigger Bucks fan than I realized. Who knew? Maybe because my last name is Buchner.
Eh,
Ah,
eh, eh,
ah.
that works.
Actually, on his vet bill, it's Jasper Buchner. So there you go. Which he's never helped pay.
Yeah, but he contributes other ways.
No, no. Uh, you know, we've seen it before where like a successful team sacks their rookie or early head coach, and then it works. Like with
Mhm.
Cleveland,
Cleveland. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I wonder how much Giannis had to do with that because you never hear of Giannis being that vote. I have no idea. I'm just throwing that out there. I got no clue.
I don't know. I know that when they went through the process of hiring
Hmm.
Griffin in the at the beginning of the season, Giannis was involved. I don't know how involved he was, if at all, with his dismissal and then the subsequent hiring of Doc Rivers. I do know that Rivers was somebody that was kind of lifeline is not the right word, but somebody that they would reach out to now and then because he wasn't affiliated with any team at the point to kind of get some insights and help with their team. So when they did make the call to fire Griffin and go with Rivers, I mean he kind of already was an inside hire there.
Got it. Okay. All right. Cool. What do you got next?
Let's do some hockey.
All right.
It's May, Stanley Cup playoffs.
Mm, yeah, I don't.
Um, so I'm going to start with a non-player. I'm going to go with Pierre Laviolette, head coach from the New York Rangers.
Well,
So
okay.
yeah, so longtime head coach in the NHL, first coach now to take 6 teams to the Stanley Cup playoffs, starting back with the Islanders,
Hmm.
Hurricanes, Flyers, Predators, Capitals, and now the New York Rangers. Just one cup with all the success there, but the first to do something like take 6 teams there, that's pretty important, pretty special. So
Yeah.
I
No.
felt deserved recognition there for that.
Yeah. No. That's a good one. I got two hockey ones, but do you have any more hockey? If you want to do
I
those,
do. I got 3 more, so maybe we
do that. Yeah, do those.
all right. Austin Matthews. So I'm not sure if he's one of yours or not.
No.
First American-born player with 2 60-goal seasons.
Hmm.
So the kid just keeps piling the goals up. The Leafs pile up the
And we
regular
see what's
season
going
wins.
on without him. Again, don't tell me what's going on because
Yeah.
as we're recording this, it's Toronto Boston game 6.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm with you there.
yeah, I might be a Canadian, but I mean, like, I will. I think I secretly in a dream made a deal with the devil. I've joked that, and you already know where. I think you already know where I'm going to go with this. I joked before, I don't know how many times, maybe to you, as one of them, as one of the people that, I might be in Seattle. The home office is now in Seattle, but I'm a Canadian. I bleed red and white. And, if Justin Trudeau bleeds, I'm happy. Sorry, had to do it. Uh,
What
I
color
hate
is lizard
Toronto.
lizard blood?
Yeah, there we go. I hate the Toronto Maple Leafs. I hate them. I hate them. I hate them. And if the devil came up to me, and maybe he did, and I don't remember, and said, "All right, Kirk, here's the deal: the Toronto Maple Leafs will never win a Stanley Cup ever, but neither will any other Canadian team. Would you take that deal?"
Mm.
Yes. Maybe I did make that deal.
Well, I mean, there's a chance this year.
Well, yeah.
Edmonton's already moved into the second round. Vancouver's got one more win that if they can find one of their three goaltenders to get that fourth win there for them
That's right.
round.
Because I keep forgetting that I'm talking to an American whose favorite hockey team is a Canadian.
Yeah, so
Vancouver.
as a
Yeah.
as a fan of another Canadian hockey team, yeah,
Yeah.
I hate the
Yeah. Yeah.
Leafs too, but
Well,
I gotta.
you know what? So you can now blame me because maybe this happened. I, I don't know. I have been having some really weird ass dreams lately. So maybe I went down to the Canadian crossroads, went down on my knees. Dun, 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 dun.
No, I don't
Classic
know. I
rock
just
guys know where I'm going with that. Also, sort of old blues man. But
all
yes,
right.
no. Austin Matthews is somebody I was kicking around too.
Mhm.
As I mean, I think he's a lock right. I don't know if he's a lock right now for the Hockey Hall of Fame. I think he's pretty goddamn close. If, like, let's say his knee blows out. I mean, like, former Hart Trophy winner, somebody who's just done what he's done, and
Mhm.
without him, we see the difference in that team. And I think that plays a huge factor in a whole lot. Uh, I don't know what the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame has done for him, but whatever it is, they got to do more, even if it's a whole lot.
Yeah, yeah,
It's so
absolutely.
amazing.
He is. He needs to be the face of U.S. hockey, and um, every hockey fan in America here should know his story.
That and porn stars. He's the only guy who cleans up and looks more like a porn star from the 70s. I don't know how he does it, but he does.
It's got to be the stash.
It has to be. I mean, just he looks like Sean Sebastian when he's playing Jeff Galooly in I, Tonya.
Okay. I haven't seen that. I saw it was kicking around on
Yeah.
one of the services, but never got around to watching it.
Excellent film to me, but I mean, like, I also remember that very, very well. But
Mhm.
you've got another hockey person before I go to mine. I'll do
Yeah,
hockey after.
sure. I'll put these two together because it's basically the same thing.
Oh, you got two
So
more. Okay. Yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
so we got Nikita Kucherov and Connor McDavid.
Yeah, yeah, good ones.
So numbers 4 and 5
Mhm.
in players that have 100 assists in a season.
Mhm.
The other three, obviously Gretzky, Lemieux, and Bobby Orr. So 100 assists in a season is not something that happens very often.
Especially in these days.
Yeah, and exactly. So to have two players do it in the same year is even more unusual.
Right.
But obviously, two phenomenal players. I would think that at this point in their careers, that they're both to just decide I'm hanging it up. I think the hockey hall comes a calling for both of them, but still having an extra little mention here for what they did to join that exclusive company there. Certainly is going to help them out down the road.
Yeah, I mean, like Kucherov. I think McDavid is already there.
Mhm.
Kucherov is probably there too. And like I was going like back and forth through the season, like uh, with Kucherov as possibly a Hart Trophy winner. I think I have McKinnon as my guy at
Yeah,
this point.
I think
With
so.
Kucherov sort of like being close too. But yeah, no, it's an incredible thing. I think I almost had. when we were going to do this, like Mikhail Sergachev, just his comeback,
Mm-hmm.
for that, and
Yeah,
it's something possible.
I don't know how you feel about the current playoff setup with the way the seeding ends up being with the three divisions and the wild
Oh, with
card
that, yeah, yeah,
teams. Yeah, and I how many years in a row now have we gotten early round Florida Tampa Bay matchup where one of the two better teams is
yeah.
out early like that?
Okay, but like I'm old enough to remember when there was 21 teams, right? And you had,
Yeah, yeah,
you had that whopping Montreal Hartford series that nobody
yeah,
cared about.
yeah. But that was a jersey matchup for the ages.
I saw
That
someone
Hartford
here in
jersey,
Seattle with a Hartford Whalers hat,
that
and
Hartford jersey. Yeah,
I wanted to pull them out. It's like, yeah, but I mean, like, okay, Seattle, like, this is true. I've never seen so many people here who were just like walking zombies. This has been messing me up.
it is a problem.
Yeah,
And
it kind of is.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right, so that's all I got for ups. I do have a hockey down if you want me to jump in
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that right away.
yeah. Because I've got a hockey up and down. So yeah, let's
Okay.
complete your hockey.
All right. So my first down this month is Gary Bettman, and it has
Oh,
to do with
yeah,
the
but
whole.
Gary's already in.
He shouldn't be, but
Okay, but you know what? The United States Athletic Hall of Fame, which you are now part of
Mhm.
the voting committee. Let's just promote that, Chris,
Yeah,
because Chris, you've earned your spot onto the committee to decide who gets to be nominated
yeah.
for
Thank
the
you.
open vote.
Yeah,
And
looking forward to it this year. Thank you. Appreciate the honor.
yeah, well, yeah, your ballot actually, I just sent you like 2 hours ago, and then you said, "Yeah, I already know." Uh, yeah, your ballot's coming. But yeah, with Gary Bettman is somebody who's actually not. Wait a minute, is Gary? I don't even know why. Is he American or Canadian? Doesn't matter. He could still qualify
Yeah,
for this. But yeah, go on.
yeah. So the whole Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, Tempe, wherever
Yeah.
debacle is now finally been put to rest. And the reason I have him on my list here is because this should not have lasted this long. Um,
Right.
it has gone on way too long. There's been way too much money lost, way too many bridges burned. Um, for whatever reason, they didn't have it set up right when they moved Winnipeg down to Phoenix.
I'll get more
And
to that since you brought this up. But yeah, go
yeah,
on.
and the Phoenix market is a strong market and one that every pro team should want to be a part of.
Hmm.
But they just didn't do it right, and they dragged it out for so long now that I fear that if another team ends up needing to relocate and they're looking at Phoenix again, that maybe that's not even on the table any longer because of how mismanaged this situation has been. I mean, they're playing in a fucking college hockey rink for the last year. This is a pro team, an NHL team in a million a million plus metro area.
Right. One of the biggest markets is, well, you would know this better than I. Is Phoenix not top 10 market in the United States or close?
I couldn't tell you for sure, but they are one of the bigger markets, and they can draw from Vegas, they can draw from California, they can the greater Phoenix area with Scottsdale and Tempe and even down to Tucson there with a little further south, but um, it's it's a growing market, and it makes sense why they wanted to put a team there, but they
Yeah.
just didn't do it right, and they dinked around with it for way too long.
Well, since you brought that up, I got a few things to sort of add to that.
Sure.
This might have been like one of those conversations that when we finally meet, we would have had over a beer, but oh, we are. But so one of the earlier interviews I did for the site was I'm still trying to figure everything out. Like I wish I had that recorded because it was just one of those things I transcribed. So I had the privilege of speaking with Tyson Nash.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So for those who don't know who Tyson is, Tyson is a Canadian. He played for the Coyotes, and he's a very good friend of Shane Doan. And I'm going to say something he said to me offline, but I don't think it's really
Okay.
going to make a difference now.
Sure.
Uh, when one of the things I asked him was like, why is it not working in Phoenix so much? And he bluntly said, is when they moved it to Glendale.
Hmm.
And once we moved to Glendale, and everything sort of like went to crap. And I went to Glendale and I saw where the arena was because I was in a conference in an old gig I used to have. And I used to work for Sealy Mattresses. And me and a buddy of mine, we were both football junkies, so we went to a Cardinals game and then saw where everything was. It's like, man, this is the middle of nothing.
Hmm.
Which, if you're a football guy, you're going to go do that.
Right.
If you're a hockey person, and you're not, you might do that, but not in Phoenix. You're not, because they're not bred for that.
Right. The city of Phoenix is laid out, the interstate system with the double ring there around the area.
Yeah.
The traffic is just not conducive to getting people to and from Glendale quickly. And
Hmm.
it's gonna you gotta want to do it. And there's enough stuff to do in Phoenix during the winter, when especially because the
Yeah.
temperatures are much more temperate than summer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna find other stuff to do.
For what, I don't know the whole thing behind it, and so if someone wants to comment and sort of like tell me why they couldn't sort of like go in the, I want to say Talking Stick Arena where the Suns play.
Suns play. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why that couldn't be the case. Someone can please tell me why that is what happened. But it's sort of funny. So as you know, Chris, and as people who might be watching this sort of know, I came here from Winnipeg, and here's sort of the interesting thing that I've been wondering about, and maybe I'm the only one wondering about because I might be the only one who gives a shit about this, uh, about team history and whatnot. So, like I was sort of hoping that if I was in Winnipeg another year, definitely you and I would have hooked up. You would have
Mhm.
came to Winnipeg, and I would have went to Milwaukee, and we would have done something. It just didn't work out, only because it just wasn't. I wasn't there long enough.
Right.
But I think you would have got a kick out of coming to a Jets game where there's the Dale Howard statue, and right. And the fascinating thing is one of the things I also do for the site is do the top 50 for, I haven't got around to all of them, but top 50 for players for every team. When I do that for the Jets, Dale Howard's not there because I can't.
Right.
The Jets' history, technically, not technically, it is
Hmm.
part of the Thrashers' history.
Hmm.
So in Phoenix, from what I understand, well, not from what I understand, from what I read, they've got the banner of Dale Howardchuk, the
Hanging.
greatest original Winnipeg Jet that there is. So
Hmm.
now they're going to be the Utah. I don't know.
They're still working on that.
Yeah.
The Utah Reggae, because Jazz is already taken.
Is not the Utah Jazz the most inappropriate name that makes no sense?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, New Orleans Jazz.
Yeah,
That,
right. Yeah,
but
the
why
Utah
they
Red.
didn't
Well,
change the
that's
name?
awesome.
Well, that or the Los Angeles Lakers. Where you go from Minnesota
Worse.
from
What's
with
worse?
Lakes.
What
I
do
don't
you think
know.
is worse, though? I mean, geographically, the Lakers in Los Angeles is worse than, as opposed to all sort of the Mormons sort of like saying, we like our jazz. So does our third wife.
Yeah, it's I don't know that. I think the Lakers, just because they've done so well with their franchise and the championships and the city. I think that just nobody thinks about the fact that they're named after bodies of water that are non-existent in Los Angeles.
Well, except for you and I. Right there too. The Memphis Grizzlies. There's no grizzly bears in
Well,
Tennessee.
No, no, I guess it could have been, could have been worse, but yeah, again,
Yeah.
Vancouver to Memphis. Was it the Charlotte? They were the Hornets, what were they before the Hornets?
Well, no, the Bobcats.
Bobcats, that's right.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
then the Charlotte got their team, which is interesting too, right? So Charlotte's got the ownership of that, and so you and I, like in between stuff. So I just sort of like got my social security number here as a Canadian American, American Canadian. I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm talking to one of the people there, one of the people who was sort of like helping me out, like go here, and I was asking, does Seattle own the Sonics? Apparently they do.
They own the franchise still, the name,
Well, the name of the Sonics, like Cleveland
the
owned the Browns.
history.
But I guess it's. I know that Winnipeg doesn't own the Jets, but nobody seems to give a shit. Because if you go to the Jets state, like arena, uh, there's all these banners of things of the Avco Cup, which I guess technically they don't own, but nobody seems. I guess the Coyotes don't care, or the Utah Jet Yotes. Like I don't know. Are
Yeah,
there coyotes in? I guess you can't sort of like do the whole desert thing. What are they going to do?
you open it up to the fans and let them have fun with it, and then you make
Well,
your own choice anyways.
Chris, what am I missing though? Didn't they just say that Utah was going to get an expansion team, and they did that the same day of whatever hockey scandal was going on? I don't remember.
Was that the juniors, whatever?
Yeah, 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 exactly.
So I
So
think they were talking like Utah was like on the short list of places where
I thought they
they
said
were
they
going to
were
get a
going to
team.
get a team as an expansion team, and then the next thing I hear, Utah gets this team, which means in theory there's another expansion team available, which I would imagine that if I'm the NHL, okay, Bettman we know doesn't want to put a team in Canada. He doesn't.
Right.
Uh, Quebec City would be great that for them to get one back, but Houston, Houston is doesn't that make the most
They're an
sense?
obvious choice. Yeah, they're an obvious choice. I think Kansas City has some history there too that I'm not sure if they're big enough, have
Do
enough
they have the
interest.
rink though,
They had
or
they had an arena. I thought they were building a new one or had
yeah?
plans to build a new one, and that may have been kind of tied into
Hmm.
whether or not they were guaranteed a franchise. But when the whole thing with Phoenix went down,
But
I
isn't
thought
Houston
they
a
like,
much bigger city?
oh yeah, Houston
Yeah,
would be a much larger and but now you're dipping into, I don't know if you're necessarily dipping in, but you got the Dallas Stars that
but
have
that's your natural rivalry,
that's
right?
your rival. Yeah. And that's one where, Bettman moved a team to a warm weather city, and that's worked.
Mm,
You know,
right. Dallas worked. Atlanta
hmm
doesn't, and they're talking about that again. And it's like,
no,
no, like
no,
Atlanta does not give a crap about hockey.
yeah.
It's been
Carolina
proven
worked,
twice.
Tampa Bay
Nashville
worked,
worked, and I
Nashville
thought, like,
works.
no way.
Nashville doesn't work tomorrow, but Nashville works.
Is that okay? Well,
Games tomorrow night, Game 6 in Nashville.
sorry. Yeah, okay, that's right. I
Yeah,
thought that's right. There's only the one game tonight. Okay, I
yeah.
thought you might have inadvertently spoiled something, but you would not do.
Nope, nope.
All right, okay. I went off topic, so I've got
No,
two
it's
hockeys.
fun.
I got two hockeys. I got an elevator up, and this is thanks to Vinny Lospinu. He sent something to me, and he said, "This should be an elevator up," and he's right. Brad Marchand, who is now taken over as the Bruins leader for playoff points.
Interesting.
That's goddamn impressive. Yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know that either. So Marchand is he a Hall of Famer? Don't know, but you add this to his pedigree.
hmm
I think there's something to that.
Yeah, a team with that kind of history there, with the players that have been through there, especially recently,
Yeah.
to be on top of that list, that's impressive. A little
Yeah.
rat.
Yeah, totally. And so here's my elevator down, and this is the first time since you and I have been doing this, and this is only our fourth month doing it, fourth or fifth. But I've got somebody who was an elevator down who was a previous elevator up.
Oh, all right. I'm interested to
Uh,
hear this.
I'm going with my my former hometown, Winnipeg Jets, and Connor Hellebuck.
Yeah,
Yeah,
rough goal.
it was awful. It was
Hmm.
utter shit. Let's just be blunt. The Winnipeg Jets got destroyed by the Colorado Avalanche in 5 games. Connor Hellebuck, I'm not going to say every goal was his fault because it wasn't. And Winnipeg had zero defense despite having the most stifling defense all year. And defense just does not just start between the pipes. It just doesn't.
No.
Kyle Connor, especially, watching, you want to see somebody like an offensive star play poor defense, look at Kyle Connor. Uh, but Hellebuck, who is probably going to be named the Vezina Trophy winner, I assume the votes are already in. I don't know how that works, but they probably are. Uh, Hellebuck made history as the first goalie to let in 5 goals in the first 5 games in the playoffs. And Chris, you're old enough like me to remember when you hear that stat, like, oh, come on, that must have happened in the 80s.
Right.
And it didn't. So when Connor wins that Vezina, and he will, and he's going to become a 2-time Vezina Trophy winner. And I said earlier before that the only person who ever won 2 that didn't get in was Tim Thomas. If I'm part of that committee, which is an 18-person committee, and I don't quite know how that completely works, I think they meet and then they decide.
Hmm.
If I'm on that crew, I'm remembering this. Yeah, you won the Vezina and you gave up the most goals of any in the first 5 games of anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the regular season, the Winnipeg Jets, I mean, that was their MO. I mean, it
Yeah.
was Hellebuck and, score 'em a goal. And we
Yeah.
were gonna good chance to win the game. And yeah, he just, you know,
He
disappeared,
wasn't good.
isn't the right word, but yeah,
Other people in front of him were bad. Ron Katz, our friend, who's
Denver.
in
Yeah.
Denver, got to shit talk me, and I could
Oh.
say the following: nothing.
Yeah,
Right?
some days, yeah, I hear you there. I know what it's like.
Yeah. So, like, what good is it when you win that? I mean, even last year, I don't know if you and I talked about this. I know I talked about this with Evan because I was never that impressed with Linus Ulmark winning the
Hmm.
Vezina because not because his stats didn't deserve it, he did, but his share with Jeremy Swayman was near 50-50. And I will go, I say go to the grave, like I'm gonna go to the grave with this, but I think that Boston didn't pull him soon enough in favor of Swayman. You got a better series than Connor Hellebuck did, but I remember this. And in some sports, baseball's not one of them, but in hockey, if you're a goalie and this was what happens, you remember that. Actually, when Ron and I were going back and forth on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, he reminded me of Tom Barrasso's '93 with the Penguins and just not doing all that well. And is that what made him wait so long? He didn't say that, but I mean, like, it made me think that, in relation to this show.
Yeah, 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 that's a great point. With Barrasso, he did wait extraordinarily long for the kind of career he had.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, perhaps there is something to that. The there's certain things that just stick out, and playoffs definitely carry more weight than the regular season.
Mhm.
I don't think Barrasso was Vezina winner.
Well, when he was a he
But
was
he was Cups winner.
when he was a rookie, his first 2 years were super incredible. Actually, let me look that up.
Yeah.
I thought he might have been, yeah, when he was with the Sabres. But yeah, I mean, like it's something that I know if I was a voter, I can't forget that.
No, you're definitely bringing it up in conversation when you're discussing the around the table there, and
Mhm.
you're discussing them. Is you're
Oh,
talking
he
the good
did.
and the
Yeah,
bad.
he won it as a call in the Calder in '84.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
early on, yeah,
yeah. So like his first 2 years were incredible. Then he was like up and down, and but yeah, I mean, like that's something that I mean, I could throw Rick Bonus in there, the Jets coach.
yeah.
Like the Jets did everything, right, sort of like going in there. They this year, I mean, like if you were a Jets fan, and I say this again, just being in Winnipeg for that 1 year in a small market Canadian team
Hmm.
where everybody's wearing Jets stuff. I mean, here I am in Seattle, so like I see a lot of the Mariners stuff, and just talking sort of like I guess our people, right? So it's so like I'm talking to one guy who I got to know a little bit. He's like, "Why are you so down?" Well, Jets lost. Like, "Oh, you're watching hockey." I was watching the Mariners. And like just stuff like that. And Winnipeg is the Jets. It completely is.
Yeah.
And for them to re-sign Hellebuck and Shifley, and then and Pierre-Luc Dubois says, "I don't want to be here," and then they get two players who are better than him,
Yeah.
which wasn't at the time, but it became that way. You sign Sean, and then you trade for Sean Monahan. You trade for I forget who else. Small market teams in sports have brief windows. So like when the Raptors, like I think of the Raptors, uh, which they're not really a small market team, but for basketball players don't generally want to go to Toronto. Like I never thought ever in my life I would see the Raptors win a championship. Never.
Milwaukee's the ultimate small market when most of these
Right. Right. Yeah.
in these major sports, and the Bucks without drafting Giannis, they're
Mhm.
not the Milwaukee Bucks. They're you know
Okay,
wherever
so
else
so
Bucks.
you and I have the same thing. You maybe you thought the same thing that I did, like that you'd never see your NBA team win anything as an adult.
Yeah, they like the
Yeah.
Brewers. They never expect them to win anything.
Hmm.
That just they'll be good enough to compete, and their best chance was in 1982, and other than
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
an injury or two. But yeah, again, too, that team was built through the draft with Yount and Molitor, and then the trade with the Cardinals to get Vukovic, Simmons, and Fingers.
Yeah. I
So
mean, being sort of like a fan of a small market team in certain sports, it's sort of like you're playing blackjack and you're always Delta 14.
mhm.
You know,
It's a great way to put it.
yeah, thought you'd like that.
Yeah, because you are either winning or losing with the draft
Yeah,
because the
and then
players.
and then you got to sort of like hope that somebody doesn't steal your seven to get the 21.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a fascinating process to sort of watch, and this was a good shot for Winnipeg and
Mhm.
Hellebuck. I'm hesitant to use the word choked only because so many people were choking around him,
Yeah,
but
yeah. It was a team choke, group choke, whatever you want
it
to call it.
was. I mean, here's something I want to throw out at you that Hellebuck has sort of inspired this, and maybe you might be part of a group to sort of look at this.
Mhm.
If all these awards were sort of given after the season, what would change?
So after the championships trophy's been handed out.
Right. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think this would affect Coach of the Year far more than anything else. as it
Sure.
should, because I don't know how, like, even in Toronto, who was it? Who the hell was it? There was a Raptors coach who won Coach of the Year. I'm blanking. I want to say Mitchell, who won Coach of the Year and then got fired right after
Yeah,
because of the
don't
playoff. But I mean, like,
yeah.
I think that would be sort of like very interesting. Like if you did sort of like peer awards.
Well, sure. I mean, you look at this year, if you were to take that into account with Vesna, yeah, obviously this would weigh negatively against Hellebuck, but it's not like
As
there's
it should.
competition there.
Yeah.
Demko has been able to step up because he got hurt after game one.
Yeah.
So he's been riding the pine for not riding the pine, but he's been out of action for the last 4 games because of injury.
Yeah. So I mean, like that's something that could almost be like redone, but I think Coach of the Year was is where that would affect that the most. All right, well, I went a long time on this. Who I've got two basketball, one football, and a couple like itty bitty WWE left. What do you got?
Sure. I got two baseball. So you got more. Why don't you go ahead and
Okay,
knock out some of yours there?
all right. So I'll do this pretty quick. It's WWE Hall of Fame stuff. WrestleMania just happened. Some things are pretty obvious with Cody Rhodes winning the Universal title, but I wanted to throw out two people who I thought were really interesting with this. I know you're not a WWE guy, but did you watch WrestleMania or no?
No, didn't get around to it.
Okay.
Not that I don't. I grew up watching AWA wrestling out of Vern Gagne's promotion out of Minnesota there.
Yeah,
So
yeah, right.
so
Yeah.
I do have a wrestling background.
Okay. So there were two. There's one person who had this WrestleMania moment at the age of 52. That's R-Truth, who is aging in reverse. I don't know if you know who that is, but he
No.
is he's just amazing. He kind of plays a very confused person on screen.
Okay. All right.
So he'll enter the Royal Rumble and bring a ladder because he thinks it's a ladder match.
Okay. Nice
Uh,
gimmick.
yeah, it's like before. Yeah, I mean before that he was sort of like a rapping guy who teamed with the Road Dogg in the late '90s, early 2000s,
Okay.
and but they acknowledged that he's 52. Anyway, it was a ladder match tag team title. He won his first tag title, his first
Nice.
regular like major title at the age of 52. Who looks like he's 32, and when he was 32, he looked like he was 42. I don't know how that works, but it's just something that is pretty damn cool for somebody who has just been there for a long, long time.
Yeah.
And
Good.
just somebody who does stupid things and it doesn't matter, it makes you laugh because it's so funny. It
Yeah, but
shouldn't make you laugh, but it does.
it's all part of the whole promotion. You got to have all sorts of things to keep everybody involved and happy and
Right.
laughing and everything. So everybody's got a role, and it sounds like he has this role and he embraces it, and he's getting rewarded for it.
It's hysterical. Again, he looks the exact same. Black don't crack, I guess. And I got another one that is like way off sort of the grid. Do you remember Howard Finkel?
The name sounds familiar. Was he?
He was the announcer.
Yeah. Okay. Ring announcer. Yeah.
So he's actually in the WWE Hall of Fame. Afterwards, there was a pretty big name named Lillian Garcia. But the person who does it now is Samantha Irvin, who got praise from Michael Buffer. I don't know what I just hit on my oven. I just moved here. By Michael Buffer on.
Don't burn yourself.
There you go. My God, I hope so because this is where I have the computer. Uh, if this explodes, you know who to call. What the hell did I do? I think I hit off. Let's hope so. Uh,
Jasper's
Michael
wondering what's going on
Buffer,
back there.
There you go. Michael Buffer commented on her performance as an announcer during the entire thing, as a ring announcer. And she was great. I mean, there's something added. I mean, you watch fights, you watch boxing like
Mhm,
I do.
mhm.
There's something that just is added to it, and she's done a phenomenal job. So it's kind of like fringe, but it wouldn't surprise me if that happened at some point in time because she was just that good.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I remember Lillian there. That's back in
it's
the 90s, 2000s
90 two
area.
thousands. Like she's not in. Lillian Garcia has got a great case for it, especially considering that every year the WWE always tries to put in a female. So if Finkel's in, then that leads to Lillian getting in. If she ever gets in, Samantha should, but I
Mhm.
don't ever remember Lillian Garcia getting this type of. Right, Twitter didn't exist then,
Yeah.
so I have to put that caveat there. But she. It's so easy for an announcer to do too much
Mhm.
or not do enough, and she's got that sweet spot, and I think she deserves that credit. I really do.
Yeah, no,
Michael Buffer
that's
is right.
yeah, that's an interesting candidate for to bring up, and I like it. It's off the grid there like that, as you described it.
Yeah,
It's good for the show. I like that. Yeah.
every now and then. Did I get this right? I don't know.
So who's your football guy? You got me curious
Oh,
here.
okay. Well, this is actually might be Vinny inspired, although he didn't say anything to me. So our good friend Vinny Los Manuso, who does a show with us, where Vinny makes the Hall of Fame case for various people, and speaking of going off the grid, right? But his favorite player of all time is Matt Ryan, and Matt Ryan is now going into the broadcast booth with CBS as part of their morning show, or not morning show. Well, depends
Studio
what
show?
part of the world you are. I guess for me, it's morning. Uh, this might be nothing. This might be a whole lot, but it never hurts if you're now part of a regular platform. Didn't do shit for Phil Simms, who I think has a similar. Well, I don't know if he has a similar case or not, but I think with Matt Ryan now, sort of like always, if he's good at this, I don't know. My quarterback Drew Brees was shit at it, which I knew he would be. Uh, I love Drew, I do, but I did
Mhm.
not think he was going to be a great analyst. I have not seen Matt Ryan as an analyst in his limited capacity. Obviously, the powers that be did, so they're giving him a shot at this, and let's see what it does. I mean, hell, I'll argue they got Bill Cowher in.
Jimmy Johnson, but he should have been in. That's
Well, I got Jimmy Johnson way over Bill Cowher, but yeah,
yeah. But no, it's interesting. Matt Ryan is going to be a very interesting debate um, when his year comes up
well,
for Canton.
statistically, he's got so much. What is he, number five, as we're recording this in passing yards?
Mhm.
Uh, but with a quarterback, almost like we were talking about with Hellebuck and a goalie, right? Although this is magnified times 10. Matt Ryan, I will never say that he choked in the Super Bowl, but he didn't rise to the occasion when Tom Brady, it was the defense that choked.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. And
I
his
mean,
offensive coordinator didn't do him a lot of favors there.
right. But so if Matt Ryan wins that Super Bowl, I think we're on a completely other side of the fence. If
We're
Cam
Eli Manning.
Newton, if well, you're right. I mean, who is a better quarterback, Matt Ryan or Eli Manning? I think you and I will. Well, I shouldn't speak for you, but I think Matt Ryan was a better overall quarterback than Eli Manning was. But Eli won two Super Bowls. Uh, Cam Newton, who I'm a huge fan of. I mean, again, as an NFC South guy, as a Saints guy, I know what he could do, but he's going to be remembered more for two things: one, not diving for that ball; two, for being an asshole at the post Super Bowl conference, which who wouldn't be?
Yeah, Matt Ryan. Not to take this, into an actual debate. I think he just
Well, we're
was.
here. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Phil Simms before, and obviously that you're looking at a couple of different eras there. Simms era was still more of the grinded out running game.
Right.
But he's definitely should be considered for what he did while he was there. Matt Ryan, Eli Manning, quarterbacks like coaches are really ultimately judged on championships.
Mhm.
And the fact that Eli
Rivers
has
said it,
two,
right?
what's that?
Doc Rivers. I was just talking
Yeah,
about that.
there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not having a championship is going to work against Ryan. I think the era that he played in that was much more pass happy, wide open, where you're able to build up these, top five stats like he has. I, I think that's gonna. I don't want to say work against him, but
Does.
I don't think it's gonna help him as much as if he had that championship with him.
Well, yeah, because like in 10 years from now, I hope I'm still alive. The way I drink, who knows? But Matt Ryan's not going to be number five.
Right.
Uh, I mean, we're looking at some people who are amassing some crazy yards. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick is in the 30s. And, and I like Ryan, but yeah.
Well, kind of extrapolate that out here
Mhm.
with quarterbacks, you have receivers. And you look at a lot of these receivers from 60s, 70s that are on the outside looking in.
Mhm.
Think of like a Stanley Morgan, a Harold Jackson.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now you're looking at them and trying to judge their careers after watching modern NFL games, and you just don't see the
We can't.
impact that they
Yeah.
really had.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think if Ryan's candidacy drags out a bit, does that kind of start happening to him a little bit? I hope not.
But he's going to
Because
be a name if this job sticks. People will remember him.
yes,
And that's sort of like why I've got him as an elevator up, because he might sort of like be in that public conscious longer than he would. I mean, Rodney Harrison is an interesting person who, if he's not in media, is he a semifinalist? That's not a shot at him. There's just so
no,
many people.
yeah,
I mean, like I'm huge on people other than him, but I think our group, we talk about Leslie O'Neill,
mhm.
who can't sniff the semis, who never
Kevin
did.
Williams, Kevin Williams from the
Right.
Vikings.
Yeah.
Evans guy there.
Evan's pet project, the Patriots guy, right? I mean,
Exactly.
it's fascinating
He's
how that works. I mean, like we talk about like to Vinny, going back to Vinny. Vinny is
mhm.
not a fan favorite of anybody in terms of his team. Sorry, his team fandom. He's not a Falcons fan. He's not a fan of any particular team. He's
No,
latched
he's
some. This is his project.
yeah, he's latched on to Roman Gabriel, Ken
Right.
Anderson,
Mm-hmm.
Richmond Webb. Um, Matt Ryan is kind of his pet project. I think
Right.
from the start, he's kind of grown into some of
Since
these other
I've known
ones.
him, but yeah.
Yeah,
So like I think anyone who will be more known, it can't hurt you.
no,
It
you're right
can't.
there.
Yeah, so that's why I got Matt Ryan as an elevator up, only because of his job, if he
Yeah,
keeps it. Which again, I don't know how good he's going to be in that role. Actually, didn't he? Actually, he replaced Phil Simms in this, I believe.
I didn't hear the whole details of it, so
Yeah,
I'm not gonna
yeah.
guess on that.
I could be mistaken. I'm not sure. That's why I said I believe. I believe I can fly, but the guy who said that is in jail. But anyway.
That's, anyways.
All right, I've only got two negative or two downs left.
Downs?
So,
You want me to do it down here?
what do you got left? How
I
many?
got 2 baseball downs.
Do your baseball. I'll close off with my two basketball
All
because
right.
probably we didn't overlap on anything here.
Yeah, surprised. I thought the hockey one we would, but
Yeah.
all right, baseball. It's just becoming too regular of an occurrence here. Mike Trout's injured again.
So you think Mike Trout? Mike Trout's already a Hall of Famer, though.
He's already a Hall of Famer, yes, but
Yeah.
you know, 3 MVPs, 11
Yeah.
All-Stars. But you look at his numbers and how great of a career he should have had
Mhm.
if his body hadn't betrayed him so much. But yeah, I agree with you. He's he passes the bus test. He's in, but it's just
It's such a
more
shame,
of a
right?
frustrating aspect of
Yeah.
his career that these last several years he's just had such difficulty with injuries and cost not cost the fans have lost out on seeing some a truly great career.
Right. Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
So and then my last one here is Jose Abreu.
Oh.
So we have a former MVP, a
Mhm.
former Rookie of the Year, 10, 11-year veteran of major leagues
Hmm.
that was optioned to the minors this week.
Oh, I missed that. Really?
He's batting below 100 for the season.
Okay, I knew
And
that he was like mediocre last year, or not
yeah,
mediocre, but he was like, eh.
yeah. Signed a big 3-year deal with Houston last year. So
Yeah.
he's on year 2 of it. I think he's owed like about 19, $20 million per year and just forgot how to hit. And,
Mm.
you know, a former MVP, former Rookie of the Year. So he's had some pretty big accolades. Now, granted, the MVP was their 60-game season back in 2020.
Right.
So take it for what it is. But he also got a late start on his major league career because he is Cuban. So there was
Right.
the whole problem of trying to get out of Cuba to play professional baseball for money.
Yeah. So his
Um,
peak isn't not his peak, but his compiling years are
yeah, I mean he lost out on his 22, 23, 24 years age years
right.
when
Right.
he could have been adding some big numbers there. And
Well, that's a great one. I wish I would have thought of that. That's better
yeah,
than I
so
got.
I hope he figures it out and
Mhm.
is able to get back. I'm sure Houston was hoping he figures it out and gets back. But as a veteran like that, he didn't have to take the assignment. He could have refused the assignment. So he accepted it. Is going to go down there, work on his craft, and
Mhm.
hope for the best for him.
No, that's actually a great one. As a Jays fan, I keep looking at Alek Manoah, but
Mhm.
obviously he's at a
Yeah.
completely different stage in his career. Uh, so I guess I'll close off with two basketball ones. Uh, just with the end of the first round or just the plan. Bradley Beal with Phoenix. I can't say that Kevin Durant's going an elevator down because he's already going to be in first ballot, but everything Kevin Durant doesn't. I said earlier, everything like Doc Rivers touches turns to shit. Everything Kevin Durant touches turns to shit, with the exception of Kevin Durant.
Right.
Kevin Durant still puts up huge numbers, but he can't make anybody better. So here he is with another team that can't do anything. What was it, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, that Phoenix were in the finals?
Against Milwaukee.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah.
So I wanted to put Devin Booker in this spot, but Devin is a four-time All-Star. I'm going to give him some time, but I'm throwing Bradley Beal in the spot. Beal is now over 30.
Hmm.
Beal is clearly pissed off with everything in the whole situation that's going around, and they gave up a lot to get him,
Yeah.
and it didn't work.
No.
It didn't work. Beal was on the wrong side of that anyway. I mean, like, he still had a lot of work to do, but at this point, I don't see him ever sort of like doing that. When he becomes Hall of Fame eligible, I he's not going to get that look. The other one I have is Trey Young, somebody who I'm rooting for. I don't know why I'm rooting for this guy. Uh, I just am. Uh, I knew when they made that trade, that draft day trade for Luka Doncic and Trey Young, because they both were drafted at the same time.
Mhm.
Some they would be forever linked.
Yeah, yeah.
Luka hasn't won anything yet either, but Luka's clearly the better player.
Mhm.
And if I'm a Hawks fan, every time I see Luka, I would think I could have had him over Trey. And Trey's still a good player. Trey is a top
Mhm.
20 player. Luka's a top 5.
Right.
And once you're forever linked, you're screwed.
Yeah, I hear you there.
And
So
I think Atlanta wants to get rid of him too at this point. And I hope he does. I hope they do. And I hope Trey Young finds something elsewhere and we can see something else from him.
hey, as a Bucks
Because
fan, I wouldn't mind flipping Lillard for him.
there you go. I
Getting
mean, like,
younger and
yeah.
in a quality player like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, and I would have said the same thing if it was flipped, just
Mhm.
because these two, and you knew they could not escape each other, and if one was going to oversee the other, that that's where you go. And we've seen this before in so many other sports, and but I don't know that there's anything linked more with this. Trey can't take this team any further than he has. Um, I don't know that he's that guy either. Atlanta doesn't think he is. So the best thing that can happen for him is for him to get the hell out of there. And with another early failure for the Hawks, Trey Young's a negative. He was an all-star, but he was only an all-star replacement,
Mhm.
despite the fact his stats were pretty goddamn good in terms of as a scorer. But yeah, Trey Young is somebody Atlanta doesn't want. I don't know if he wants to be there. If he does, he's an idiot. But I don't think that's the case.
Yeah.
He's got to get the hell out of there. Hopefully, reinvent himself, and if he can't, it's done. He's always going to be the I don't know the asset of Luka Doncic.
Yeah. And the weird thing about that is, Atlanta is a huge market. Um,
Mhm.
but and both players, they started out very strong. It's not like Young, has taken a long time to become good. I mean, he came into the league and he was,
Mhm.
on superstardom, the verge of
Right.
superstardom for the start. And you don't hear him talked about
Mhm.
even as much as Doncic or some of the other players
Right.
in that era. And it's a shame because he is such a fabulous player. And um, yeah, I think you nailed it that he needs a fresh start. And he's never going to get out of the shadow of Doncic because of the trade. But if he can get somewhere and win, I think that makes up for it.
Mhm. Yeah. So as long as he's there, he's always going to be in that spot. It's weird. You see people in shadows, but you never see people in shadows of men they've never played with. And the same or never was on the same team. It's crazy, but that's who he is now, and it was going to happen to one of them unless both of them completely thrived. Luke is a better player. I think we
Mhm.
can agree on that, but Doncic Trey at one point we thought was a top 10 guy. If he becomes one, great, but he's not going to do it in Atlanta. It'll never happen
Yeah,
there. Never. All
yeah.
right.
No, that's a great analysis there. Great pick.
All right, I guess that's sort of it. I think the first time we didn't agree on anything, which is probably why this went over an hour for the first time.
Yeah. Well, we had an extra week to come up with some things here.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it's also why the first time we were both in the same country,
There you
not the
go.
same time zone, but the same
Yeah.
country.
Same country. Yeah.
There you go. All right. So with that, wherever you are, wherever you may be, make today count. So it'll never come again. So on behalf of Chris and Winnie, we say adieu.
At all.